Okay, we are live. Let's see who's out there. All right, just want to do a quick sound check. Can you all hear me? Just say, hey, I can hear you, and that's that. Oh, my evening is just so complete now. It's Julian. Lucky me. Okay, excellent. You can hear me. G, is that stand for gang? Ah, Shashank. Shashank sent a sexy beast. All right, so the first question is the relationship between individual supply and market supply. And we sort of covered this with demand, but let me show you real quickly. So if I have basically individual supply right here, so basically these are all individual firms and their supply curve. And it's going to equal, for instance, the market demand. And it might be even better. So like if we're supplying, let me see, if we supply a quantity of 3, if we supply 4 right here, if we supply 5, if we supply 6, each individual firm is supplying a different amount. So the market, I think I need a smaller pen here. The market supply is going to equal 18. So that's the difference here. You just take them and aggregate them. That's all. Okay. All right. No, no, it's not an average. Yeah, it's a sum. It's aggregate. Thank you, Michelle. Correct. Yeah, market demand is an aggregate, which really we don't get to aggregate until macro, but basically all you have to know is market equals the aggregate of all the individual firms. Where do you find the figures? They'll give them to you. Or it might just be a simple multiple choice question. That's all. How do you determine market supply? Didn't we just answer that? We add up all the individual supply curves. That's all. Quality controls. Oh, we love quality controls here. Sure. Let's talk about a couple things here with quality controls. Okay. So, yeah, let me show it on my paint.net. let's see. Any specific? Do you want to talk about ceilings, floors, quotas, all of those? Quotas. All right. All right, so let's go. And I was going to talk about quotas tomorrow as well, but always good to get a little bit more in. So here we go. Here's price, and here's quantity, supply, and demand. Okay. So cars are always a real good example with quotas. My graph drawing is not real good here. I'll try to use some different colors. Here's PE. I think I need to use a smaller pen. That's paintbrush. Here's pencil. Maybe pencil will be better. I don't know. Let me get rid of that. I'll go back to paintbrush. All right. Actually, I'll make the brush width smaller. That would make sense. Okay. So let's say that the United States sets a quota on imports of Japanese cars, and currently here's your equilibrium. So what's going to happen here, if the United States sets a quota, that quota is, let's set it right here. We could do Q1. Right there, okay? So with the quota here, you could see that the price goes up. Let me just change that a little bit here. So price increases when there's a quota, okay? And also what happens here as well is there's something created called quota rent. And I'm going to have a problem for you guys tomorrow going over the quota rent. But the quota rent is going to be this price P times Q difference right here. And we got to go back to this as well. All right, and it's sort of like a wedge right there. But there's your quota rent, and that's what the quota. What happens is an effect of the quota. The price does go up for this. Good question. Effects, benefits, disadvantages to quotas. Well, if the United States was setting a quota, and a lot of times countries will set trade quotas, like what we're looking to do is to protect domestic production. So we're only going to allow a certain amount of Japanese vehicles in our country. It's sort of similar to sort of like the effect of like what a tariff would do as well. But we'll spend a few minutes on that also. What's the test going to be like? Well, it's going to be on paper, black print on white paper. It's going to be 30 30 questions, multiple choice, and 2 FRQs. Why equilibrium pricing and competitive markets are important for society to be efficient in allocating resources. That's a lot there. Why? I'm not sure I understand that question. It's a lot of... Can we go over inefficient allocation of sales among sellers? Inefficient allocation among sellers. Dustin, can you be a little more specific there? I know what we're talking about. Like for this unit, what you have to know is that when there's a ceiling or a floor, is that it does create inefficiencies and it creates that dead weight loss. Now, we're not, until next unit, we're not going to go and calculate dead weight loss until the next moment, until the next unit. So don't worry about knowing consumer surplus. Don't worry about producer surplus. You may have to know what dead weight loss is. I'm not going to ask you to calculate it yet. That's going to be a whole other thing. How do surpluses and shortages move a market back to equilibrium? Good question. So what happens eventually, the market forces, well, it's a problem if there's a ceiling or a floor because those are government regulated, so we can't go back to equilibrium. But if there's a surplus or a shortage, the market forces will either drive up the price and reduce the shortage, or it's going to drive down the price and reduce the surplus. Cameron says, so quotas will drive up demand and price. It definitely will drive up price. And if we take a look here at our example, I don't believe so. If I'm looking at the graph, and maybe no, demand, I think demand would be less. Price is going to go up. And as price goes up, people are going to demand less. So there's that inverse relationship. Let's see. Andre, open notes. Sorry, buddy. Not to... And you know, Andre, it's on Tuesday, right? You know that. Extra credit. Chelsea says extra credit. What do you want? Name all 6 Brady Bunch kids? Let's see. Can you go over the wedge concept again? Sure. Basically, when... let me go back to paint.net. Alright, so I'm going to erase all this for now. And let's see. Okay, so let's talk about the wedge. And basically, there's a wedge when there's either a ceiling or a floor. So, for example, here's your floor. And then what happens right here, okay, here's your dead weight loss right here. And what's happened is, just like quota rent, this is your wedge. It's created a wedge into the efficient market, if that makes sense. Who is the best basketball player in the NBA? I'm going to have to say Bernard King. That's what I would say. Bernard. Well, one of my favorites. Look him up, Sexy Beast. Bernard King. Look up his highlight reel. And then give me a couple facts tomorrow. Liam, when you have a shift of the supply curve, would you say... Okay, let's see. Would you say there is both a change in supply and quantity supplied, or only in supply? Good question, Liam. So when you have a shift of the supply curve, all it is a change in supply, because the price stays the same. It's the quantity that changes. Quantity supplied, and in quantity supplied at every price. So what we're looking at here with supply is whenever there's a price change, there's a movement. So it's going to be the change in quantity supplied. And then when you have a shift of the supply curve, the price stays the same, but the supply changes. Hope that makes sense. All right, who's the best basketball player? Andre, what do you have to say? Extra credit. Name one person you went to college with. Wow. Oh, I got it. One person I went to college with is the president of Clemson University. Yeah, look him up. President of Clemson University. How do quotas make a market inefficient? Well, it sets up that quota rent, that whole big area. And Dustin, you'll never get extra credit on that. You cheated. Cheater. Let's see. Yeah, Dustin should get like a 0 for everything. So, let's see. What is a supply schedule? So a supply schedule, which you'll probably see on the test, we've seen demand schedules, and it basically, all a supply schedule is a chart. That's it. And it gives you the quantity supplied, and it gives you the price as well. Yes, Jimmy Clements. That's correct. All right. Hopefully we're looking at logical questions here. Good questions. It is 7:46. I guarantee next unit we're going to have a lot more people on here asking questions, because the content gets increasingly more challenging. I just want to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions, I hope. And if I have not answered them... here we go. Anything on the modules is fair game on the test. Good question, Michelle. Yes, it is. I don't think I've thrown any curveballs in terms of... I mean, I've pretty much gone over everything. I will tell you that on the test, instead of using, when there's a double shift, and there's a couple questions about double shifts, the test bank uses the word ambiguous instead of indeterminate, but I'll let everybody know about that. Can you change the background of your stream? I think maybe next time I will. We'll do pumpkins, maybe orange and black. Good night, party people. Goodbye, Dustin. How does quantity supplied and change of supply appear on the graph? That's a good question. All right, let me throw that on there. So let's get rid of everything up there. Oh, I have a question for people, the rest of you who are in AP classes. Have you been given passwords for what's that called? Albert I/O. I need to know. Shashank, I'm going to go over 2, 3, and 8 tomorrow from the online quiz. I have that all ready for you guys. Quantity supplied. So basically, quantity supplied. This is quantity supplied. So in a price change, we go from A to B. Okay? Change in supply is going to go like that. We shift from S to S1. Yeah, I just want to know. Okay. Right, Ellie. I had heard some classes have it, so I have to ask Mr. Bolger. Will the test be like the practice test we did on Friday? Yeah, some of the questions might be similar. I don't know. I wasn't intending on being out Thursday and Friday, but I am back. I will be back tomorrow. Julian, you're being bizarre again. Okay. Why is the problem set 7 pages? Andre, next time I'll make it 8 pages just for you. How's that? Good question, Grace. Wedge and quota rent? Is a wedge and quota rent the same? No, it is not. The ceiling and floor create a wedge, but pretty much we don't like compute the wedge, but we compute quota rent. So when there's a wedge for the next unit, we're gonna compute dead weight loss. A lot of times on the AP exam or on tests or practice, we just identify like dots, like A, B, and C or something like that. But then with quota rent, we're going to identify the actual quota rent. Like because of the quota, they call it quota rent. So, did you get me sick? No, you did not. No. Test Friday. No, the test is Tuesday. I backed it up one day, just to be nice. Yes, Andre, there's a test. Okay. What does a wedge and quota rent represent? In what conditions are they present? Well, when the market becomes inefficient because of a floor or ceiling, it creates a wedge. And the quota rent, Chelsea, how about I'll go over this tomorrow, quota rent. All I need is about 5 to 7 minutes. And I think I put it on tomorrow's agenda that I sent out.
If you write any...
Is the problem set still due tomorrow? Yes, it is. And if you read the messages that I sent out, it certainly says that. Problem set is still due tomorrow. Let me see if there are any good Cliffords.
Hey Internet, this is Jacob Clifford and welcome to AC/DC Econ. Now I'm sorry for not making a video last week. I was actually traveling working with econ students. Now in this video I'm going to talk about how you can get me to come to your school and maybe earn a few bonus points from your econ teacher along the way.
There's a video right there where Clifford will come visit our school. Oh wait, Sam, you asked me a question a little ways back and I didn't answer it. It was, let me see, where was that question? Why would government try to control prices? Well, it depends whether they're looking out for the consumer or whether they're looking out for the producer. If they're looking out for a consumer, things obviously like we've talked about with rent control, looking out for maybe people who don't have resources, and they try. Unfortunately, the landlords don't like rent control. They are guaranteed, that the rent will get paid, but it's a much lower price, and then there's a lack of incentive to maintain the facilities. Government wants to keep the farmers in business. They're going to raise prices, creates a surplus. People don't want to buy the agricultural goods. Sometimes government has to step in and purchase the surplus as well. Relationship between wasted resources and low quality products. Well, wasted resources, that usually happens with a surplus, like cheese, milk, corn, things like that. Low quality products is sometimes you'll see that if there's a ceiling. You have to buy a packet from him. Yes, I have purchased in the past it's called the Ultimate Review Guide, and I will most likely purchase the Ultimate Review Guide this year as well. How do surpluses and shortages move a market back to equilibrium? I think we answered that before. As long as there's no floor or ceiling or government regulations, the market price will drive from a shortage will drive back up, and in a surplus, the floor prices will fall down. How do surpluses move market back to equilibrium? Exactly. You just answered your own question. Basically, the market forces. Think of like that game we played, like the simulation, the corn game. There were a few outliers with price, and in a way, there sort of was a floor or ceiling. There was, well, I don't think there was a floor or ceiling, but We could create one. How do expectations relate to supply? How do they drive left or right? Okay. Let's see. How do expectations relate to supply? Future expectations, if we feel like the price of an input is going to go up, like in the future, that could be expectations, then they might produce now, and that would drive the supply curve to the right. So it sort of depends, you know, how soon we expect these things to happen. If a question talks about a change in price of a related good, wouldn't that classify as a change in both supply and demand, not just demand? If it's a related good, it's, I'm pretty sure 100%, 99.9, that it's going to be demand. But if you have a supply example, I mean, a related good is either going to be a substitute or a complement. So when we're dealing with substitutes and complements, we're definitely dealing with the demand curve. But who knows? Maybe there's a question out there that throws us for a loop and there's a supply curve. But no, it should be demand with that. And that's for Grace. Period 3. If you're in period 3, you're getting new seats tomorrow, kiddos. So look forward to that. How often do we change seats? Good question. Well, at the beginning of the year, I pretty much said, hey, you know, sit where you want. And that's dead. No. It depends. Not a million times. And it depends. It depends on the class. Maybe the class necessitates a change. Sometimes change is good for people. Do surpluses and shortages occur when the product is out of equilibrium? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. When the price gets too high, you have your surplus, price is low, you have your shortage. And we're not at equilibrium. Well, especially when there's a floor or ceiling. It's possible we could have a shortage if the supply curve or the demand curve shifts, and then we would have a new equilibrium. Must we answer complete sentences on the packet? I mean, as long as you answer the question, I don't, you know, if I can understand what you've written. The packet is giving me stress. Well, you shouldn't have waited until Sunday night to work on it. That is important. All right, it's 8:02. Let's see if we have any other. Yeah, I want to know how many of you started the packet several weeks ago. I give you guys so much time. So much time. You could do a little bit per day, or maybe like one day work on like 5 or 6 questions. It's all about procrastination. Yeah, there you go. It's still confusing. It's not confusing. It's always, if you ever work on the packet and you're trying to answer questions too, it's good to do the like graph things out as well. Wow, so at the most we had 27 viewers. I think that's a new record. Any other questions that you have? Fear the Walking Dead comes on in 57 minutes. I will not miss it. Still have a little bit more work to do tonight for you guys. The Ravens look pretty bad. I hope the Redskins lost. I don't think the Redskins lost, did they? How was my dog's birthday? That was last month. Yeah, his birthday was September 14th, but you know. They beat the 49ers. Yes, a month and a day. What's tomorrow's Spirit Week? I'm because of my... Oh, price control is a ceiling or floor, and a quantity control is a quota. Maryland Monday. Oh, that's a good one. Where are you from? Maybe I'll wear my America Monday if you're in the right grade. I guess I could wear my Maryland shirt or... Oh, America's for seniors. America. Any other final questions? Don't forget you get to see me tomorrow. We could ask some final questions. I really would like to stick to the schedule for tomorrow. That would be wonderful. And then you guys will be all set. So, final questions. Canvas quiz question. Which one? I'm going to go over some of the yeah, I think Fear the Walking Dead has tonight and next week. I think. I might be wrong. I think it was The Wood. The Wood? I can't remember that one. No, I can't go over the quiz questions. The right answer was not the right answer. I'm going to go over the Canvas quiz questions tomorrow. I'll try to go over as much as I can. I have slated on the PowerPoint to go over, first of all, the do now, and then I'm going to go over Canvas quiz questions 3.0, numbers 2, 3, and 8. The house is in Florida. Ay, ay, ay. I'll try my best. Try my best. We have a lot to do tomorrow, so we're going to be moving and grooving. Anything else before I sign off and say sayonara? I hope Andre's getting his work done. You're welcome. See, some people are polite. Michelle is polite. I don't know about the rest of you. She might get an H-Dog buck for her politeness. It was just very organic and just, you know. Chelsea, you've had so many H-Dog bucks. You and Anna are, it's just a conspiracy between the both of you. No, no, no. All right, I am signing off. Like I said, next unit. How does the price ceiling move back to equilibrium? Well, that's a good question. Is that okay? Yeah, if the price ceiling is removed, then it can move back to equilibrium. The market forces will push the price back up. If the price ceiling, now remember, a price ceiling, maybe it gets set. Let me go back. That's a good question. Let me go back here for 1 second. Okay. So if we have this price ceiling, let me just set a price ceiling right here. That is a terrible graph. Here's our quantity. Here's our price. There we go. Let me draw in blue. All right. Here's our price ceiling. So we can't charge higher than here. And so we can't go above the ceiling. If we go above the ceiling, it all reverts back to equilibrium. Okay? So I just want to let you guys know. I'm not dabbing. No. No, no, no. Well, the government has the responsibility if they want to. Yeah, if they're removed, it could naturally go back. The market forces would have to adjust. Anything else for the good of the group? It's 8:10. Good luck tomorrow at your tournament. Where's the golf? You're welcome. Where's the golf tournament tomorrow? Crofton. Oh, that's Anne Arundel County. Okay. All right. I will love your. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Good night, everybody. See you in the morning. And you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. See everybody tomorrow. I got to figure out how to stop everything. There we go. All right. Have a good one. See ya. Good night.